So raise your hand if you've ever made it to the end of the workday only to realize that you didn't get any of your most important tasks done. Right here. It happens all the time to us, and it's really a byproduct of a lot of things, right? Meetings, phone calls, endless emails coming into our inboxes, social media, all sorts of things that crop up, even those like seemingly urgent fires that we get thrown our way during the day. In today's video, I want to talk about how you can break this cycle so you can become the most productive fundraiser you know. Stay tuned. My name is Vanessa Lockshin, and I'm the president of the Storytelling Nonprofit, a consulting and training company that works with nonprofit organizations to help them tell stories that raise more money and awareness. And you might be wondering, why am I talking about productivity tips? Well, I love productivity. Aside from fundraising and communications, figuring out how to be more productive and maximize my time, maximize resources that are going into things are one of the things I really enjoy thinking about, because who doesn't want to be productive? Like, I want to feel like at the end of the day, I've really made a difference and made a dent in some of those most important things, not only in my to-do list for work, but also like in the more broader context of my life. So today I thought I'd bring you my 5 favorite productivity tips in the hopes that they'll help you. So let's get right to them. Tip number 1 is to know what your most important and biggest priorities are. I always tell fundraising professionals that you've got to know where you're headed. You know, certainly having a fundraising plan is important, but take it off your shelf every so often. Look at it, revisit it, know what those priorities are. Fundraising really can be easy when you follow your plan and follow the priorities that you've set for yourself. Now, I'm not saying that plan has to be set in stone, but it definitely is useful to be able to follow that and have a general roadmap for where you're going in your fundraising. So on a monthly, weekly, even daily basis, take the time to remember, what are those most important priorities for you? What is it that you need to get done this week to really move the needle forward in your fundraising program? What is it this quarter you need to get done to move the needle forward? I always like to think about, what are the big things I'm working towards on a 6 to 12 month basis, and really try to structure my to-do list around those things, knowing that those are my biggest priorities. Tip number 2, and I think this is probably my favorite, is to just say no to the tyranny of the urgent. Now, this phrase came from a manager I had many years ago who always used to tell us that we needed to not bend to the tyranny of the urgent in our fundraising office. And by that, they just meant that it was important for us to stay focused and to not let all the fires and seemingly urgent things get in the way of us doing our most important fundraising work. And this is something I remember and all the time remind myself of, because it's really easy to let new emails that are streaming into our inboxes, social media notifications, meeting requests, other things that are coming up, try to get our attention and take away from our focus on those most important priorities. So I want to invite you to say no to that tyranny, because it really is tyrannical in our lives and it can really get in the way of us focusing and being more productive in our fundraising work. Tip number 3 is to close your email and focus. Now, I have to say, probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, I actually removed email from my smartphone, which was a really radical choice for me. I don't keep my data on. I keep it off basically all the time unless I'm opening it up for maps. And I do my best not to let email get in my way. Also, when I'm at my desk, I make sure my email tab is often closed. In fact, I usually only check email once a day. This helps me so much. Again, it really allows me to get out of my inbox, which can become a to-do list, but it's not your most important to-do list. There are other things that are far more important for you to focus on. So closing that email and allowing yourself not to be distracted by it will help you focus more, and again, give you more time for those most important tasks. Tip number 4, batch your recurring tasks. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you may have heard me talk about batching tasks. This is basically a time management strategy where you give yourself blocks of time to get a whole bunch of smaller things done. So I'll give you some examples. One of the ways I used to batch my time was for donor stewardship calls. So I would give myself 2 1-hour blocks a week where I would make all of those calls. And again, this prevented me from spending 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, another 10 minutes, just making phone calls randomly throughout the day. Instead, I had 2 designated times that helped me get it done. And there's lots of ways that you can use time batching. You could use it for checking and processing email. You could use it for processing gifts that come in, donor thank you phone calls. updating donor records. Think about those recurring tasks that ultimately add up quite a bit over the day or even over the course of a week. And think about, can you give yourself a block of time to just do them and know that that's your dedicated time for getting it done? That'll cut down from you switching from lots of tasks and give you focused time to do those things and get them off your to-do list. And tip number 5 is to slow down to speed up. And I know this probably sounds completely counterintuitive, but it's actually a really important tip. I found that the more I try to just push the gas and keep going and keep, pushing harder in my work, the less productive I am, the less focused I am, and the less effective I am in my work. It's so important to slow down, to take breaks, to pace ourselves, because it really can be much more of a marathon than we give it credit for. So take your lunch break and actually take a lunch break. Don't work. Take that coffee break. Give yourself the mental time to take a break from the work you're doing so that you can come back refreshed, focused, and ready to get back to work. And I think the same goes for weekends and evenings. It's really easy to let work creep into our days, but I promise you, you're going to feel more refreshed and more productive when you actually take that time off and give yourself a chance to have a break. Those are my 5 productivity tips for you. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which one of these are you interested in trying? Or maybe you have your own productivity tips. We would love for you to share those. Let us know what they are. It's always great to hear what other people try in their time management and productivity. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, be sure to do that. You can click the button in the right-hand corner of the screen to subscribe.